you saw it. Like you can have a great month and it doesn't matter. Like people can make money every day. It's not about that. It's about keeping your money.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, to Be the Trader. Today I have a very special episode. It's a one-on-one with a young trader, and I know it's going to be very relatable to all of you. So make sure to share with a friend or another trader, because of you doing that, it's helping us grow so much faster. So thank you for that. But in this episode, he had a killer month, and then he had a very difficult 2 months after that, which I know is very relatable to all of you. So I hope you enjoy this episode, because we dive deep. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for talking to me. I found your channel like 3-4 months ago, and ever since I found it, I just got hooked. Like I pretty much binged like a year's worth of your videos from the previous year.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. And what really hooked me was like your pretty much your trading journey. So obviously just relatable. All traders struggle in the beginning. There was a point in the video though, I think it was like in your first year of trading, where you were like, whenever you did bad, it affected your day. There were like times in that 1 year where you would just like cry or like just have a hard time and just pretty much almost depressed. And that definitely happened to me this last year because I've been trading for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And yeah, that definitely happened to me last year, and it did stop for like a few months, and I just feel like it's easing back up again. And that's why I feel like I want to reach out to you before it got too bad. Just because since I've been trading for about a year and a half, like I do options mainly.
Okay.
I do shares sometimes, but mainly options really. And the first few months I was pretty much just break even. And then I thought I figured it out in October because all my breakouts were working. I pretty much doubled my account, all that stuff. And then the market humbled me real quick after October. I thought I could keep recreating that month, and nah. Pretty much I was like break even November, then pretty much December, January, and now I'm like either break even or red.
Okay.
And I just want to stop that before it gets too bad. And really, I just realized this really a week or two ago by watching your videos and just by studying my trades, is it's really because I'm not adapting to the market. And I feel like that October month that I was trading really, really well, I feel like it was a blessing and a curse because blessing because obviously us, great profits, but curse because really I got a lot of money really, really quick, and I guess I didn't know how to handle that. And I sized in way too big the next month. And yeah, I just did a lot of dumb rookie stuff that I wasn't really proud of.
That's understandable though. I mean, you've only been training for like a year and a half,
yeah.
So like, and then when you have like that month, that kind of feels like a breakthrough month.
Yeah.
It's easy to get wrapped up in that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times it's taking me forever to get consistent. Okay. So like, I can't tell you how many times like I'd have like a breakthrough month and then just a shitty next month. It happened all the time. So that's normal. And I think it's because there's a lot of things you don't know yet, right? There's a lot of things you don't know, and you don't even know that you don't know it. That's why trading is so hard to teach, because like there's so many things that you don't know until it finally hits you, and you're like, yeah, this is why I should do this, or I should probably not do this anymore. I want to take this time to say thank you to our sponsor, Cobra Trading. Cobra Trading is the go-to broker for day traders and short sellers. And I'm not the only one saying this. In fact, Benzinga awarded Cobra Trading as the go-to broker for short selling. They have a heavy focus on direct market access order routing, so you have the fastest execution. They have some of the best locate prices and availability. They also have amazing customer service. I've experienced many different brokers, and it's why I use them every single day and why I'm proud to have them as our sponsor. Sign up now by clicking the Be the Trader referral link below and earn 1 free month of software with Cobra and 25% off all commissions. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah,
But
I didn't figure it out. Like, not don't do breakouts or don't do what you were doing months ago because it's not working in this market. Like, I didn't figure it out until like a month or two in when it already changed. So
yep.
yeah.
But that's good though. I mean, like that adaptation, I haven't met anyone who's new who literally like sees the change and after 2 days adapts. Like it
Yeah.
just doesn't happen. But I mean, at least for me, it just took me like, I used to never adapt. I used to just like suck for like months. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm just not good. And then I catch some wind and then I suck again. Right. And then over time, then I start to notice I had to adapt. And then I would say I was not good at adapting. It would take me like a month or 2 months to actually realize it. And then by then it'd be too late and I'd be timid. And then my strategy came back. And then I'd be like, oh, and then I'd suck on when my strategy was there because I wouldn't take it with size because of that 2 months of when it didn't work kind of messed me up mentally. And then over time you get better. And then as that grows, you'll start to learn to adapt it for a week, And so
Yeah.
like that's typical what I hear from traders is who are consistent. Like it takes about a week to 2 weeks to kind of like really adapt now. A day or two is too short because anything can happen in a day or two. Like a market, you could just have a fluke, right? So
Hmm.
I think it's normal what you're going through. I do think that as a breakout trader, are you swinging or on your? I don't do options, so I don't know much about options. But are you
I'm definitely
swinging?
more of a scalper, for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
scalper.
Hmm.
Um, what have you noticed? Did you learn anything from those 2 months where it was just hard? Like, did anything stick out to you that can be a trigger for the next time? So that way you don't have to go through that. And because the trigger happens way before that happens. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like with every like month or the past month or two, every breakout that's been happening, it immediately reverses and doesn't even look back. Yeah.
Okay.
And just a lot of fake outs, a lot of fake outs. Yeah.
And that's good. But I'm talking about like, and I don't want to give you the answer, but I'm just going to tell you one
Hmm.
example, right? Because I don't know the answer, to be honest. Like, I don't know your strategy, right? But what I'm going to tell you is, like, for example, I trade a lot of big caps. And trading big caps, like when I'm trading those, there's sometimes where I'm just long every day, and that's all I'm doing is long. And then there's some days where I'm just short all day. And there's some days I'm both. But what I've noticed is like, some days when I'm long all day, the overall market may be a little bit stronger that day. You know what I'm saying? So like, is there anything that you maybe that can stand out as a flag for you to just not say things are different, but maybe say it's possible things may be different today? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
like for me, an example is if I'm trading breakouts and breakouts are doing really well, then all of a sudden I'm looking at all the on my watch list the next day, right? And I'm looking at all these stocks and they're all looking kind of weak, right? But they look like they could still be a breakout setting up, but they look kind of weak, like
Yeah.
bearish overall. And then I look at the overall market and it looks kind of just maybe steady, not really showing much bullish signs. Then that's a sign for me now to be like, you know
Got it.
what?
Hmm.
I need to be cautious. I'm still going to take these trades, but I'm going to be a little bit more cautious with my size until I get a better signal to size in, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to find out is ask yourself that question. Like, is there something that you can look at or something that maybe it is what you said, like you take a couple of breakouts and they don't work right away. If that happens, then that should be a signal for you that, maybe it's after 2 or after 3, you'll have to determine that. But after a certain amount, then you'll be like, you know what, I'm going to cut my size. You can make a rule, whatever, but I'm just generically saying you
Yeah.
can cut your size in half or a quarter until you start to see that progression and then size right back up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Because the whole goal is capital preservation. Because at the end of the day, like you saw it, like you can have a great month and it doesn't matter. Like people can make money every day. It's not about that. It's about keeping your money.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if you don't keep it, you can have $1 million month and then lose it all. So like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So always be thinking like Michael Martin talks about this a lot, and he has a podcast, really good show. He talks about superior defense and just always trying to play defense. And sometimes that could not be sexy, right? It's like good example. And interrupt me if I'm taking too much of your time. Feel free. But a good example is I talked to one of my mentors. I call him a mentor, but at the end of the day, he's like a really good friend. We talk every day. And he's been training for like 30 years. So like I've been training for like a baby compared to him. You know what I'm saying? 4 or 5 years, 4 years. So there's days where we'll talk and I'm killing it for like 4 or 5 months straight. And then one day just kind of rocks me. But I'm like, I'm not a news guy. I don't give a shit about news. But that day I should have, because that day the Fed announced something. And he was like, yeah, don't you always look at XYZ to see if the Fed's going to announce anything? And I'm like, no, I never had to worry about that because I'm not a news-based trader. Well, as I start to size up, I need to start worrying about that because that's dangerous. So like talking to him, he's helping me see those things. Like, okay, now every day I check the news, not to trade it. I don't care about news still. I literally don't care. But if it says the Fed's going to announce something, there's now a rule in my own rule book. That means either A, I trade really freaking small until the news is announced, or B, I don't trade at all, because I can promise you from my experience, every time I trade during a Fed announcement, it's a rocky hell of a day, or I lose big that day. It's God honest truth. So like, I got to make rules around that. And so that's kind of like a signal now. I check the news and then, oh, Fed announcement. Cool. There's my signal. You know what I'm saying? It's trying to give me cautiousness. So I'm just trying to help you out to kind of think about like, what's anything out there. It could be anything that fits for your style. That's kind of like a signal, whether it's you talk to a trading buddy every day and you're like, hey man, like, have you noticed like the breakouts just are not that strong lately? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that could be a signal. Like if he notices it and you do, then you might want to use that as a benchmark to say, maybe I should just slow into size this next day and just see what happens. And sure, you might miss out on like a killer trade maybe, but it's about capital preservation, not about making more money. It's about surviving, and it's about keeping your money so you can enjoy it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No. Yeah. Just pretty much like find confluence in like your trades, like more confirmations, things like that. Yeah.
Well, sure, but not to trade. But
like as the market in general. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like
red
the atmosphere.
flags or flags. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I mean. So it doesn't even have to mean the market. Like, because I trade small caps a lot too. And I don't give a shit if there's any news of the Fed. Like, I don't care, because the small caps don't really pay attention to the overall market at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's experience is different. That's just my experience, and I don't care. So, it depends on your strategy. Like if in small caps, when I trade, like when I first started, I traded the overextended gap down kind of strategy. Stock that overextended maybe 3 days minimum, 75% up on the day, stuff like that. There were times where it kind of started acting different. And so I had to like either not trade it at all, or what I did is just downsize a lot and just play the trade, because it still generally worked. It just took a lot longer to work. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I had to be comfortable in that uncomfortable move. So it could happen with breakouts where they still work over 3 days, but you're a scalper, so it's a little different. So like, you know what I'm saying? So just think of just different ways that there could be signals, whether it's a trading buddy. I think it's a huge one right there, especially if you have a buddy who trades similar. That could be good for you.
That's another, I guess, like something that I have to like figure out and deal with, because another hard thing about, I know you guys always say it too, is another thing about trading is it's very lonely. So I still have yet to find that person to talk to. Yeah. Like sometimes I talk about it with my girlfriend, but really the best thing she can do is really listen. Like it can't be like a conversation where she can like comment on it and stuff like that.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I used to talk to my wife a lot, I still talk to her about it, but I used to talk to her all the time about it. She'd be like, so why did you break your rules then?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get it. Finding someone, it's not the most important, but I can tell you, I mean, I would be lying if I said that, find someone that I talk to. Like there's a couple of traders I talk to every day. Some of them I'm helping and I'm like kind of coaching them every day. And some of them they're helping me, you know what I'm saying? And so like, it's good to kind of like build a little like group of friends, but I don't talk to them during the trading day per se of like, hey, what are you trading? What are you doing? Like, it's always like, hey, how was your day today? Did you trade well? Did you stick to your plan? Like my friends are all about like process, right? Because that's important to me, because I have buddies who trade massive size compared to me. And I don't need to hear that, because that personally, it influences me. So I just need to hear about, did you trade well? What have you noticed in the market? Have you noticed this? Like, that's important. So like, you could find anyone, even someone who might be in a room that you used to be in, or anywhere, right? Or maybe in comments in one of my episodes,
Hmm.
because like people are always looking for people. Like they're like, why don't you create a Discord? I don't have one, but maybe I will. So that way you can connect with someone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, just be careful with that. It's a double-edged sword, I think, because like when you connect with someone, just make sure they're in the right mindset. Because if they're in a mindset, and maybe you're good with this, like I'm not good with hearing someone say I made 1,000 a day and I
No.
did a negative 100. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know what you made. I just need to know how you did. Like, and how you did means, did you stick to a process? So you can, filter through people and find who works well with you, and then start talking to them. And maybe it's someone who's way newer than you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's someone who's like learning the same kind of strategy as you, and they're like, but you can learn off of that, because
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you'll be like, hey
For
man, this is
sure.
what I see, this is what I see over time, and then they'll start to catch up, and then all of a sudden you're like helping each other out. So there's a lot to be said about having someone who you can talk to on a daily basis, not about what to trade, when to get in, and all that stuff, but more so to bounce ideas off after the fact, and to breathe about, or to like vent about, like, hey man, this week has been very choppy to me. Like, how about you? And kind of get a feel. And it's good to get people who different strategies too, because there's a buddy of mine who only swings trade. That's all he does. And I'd be like, man, like the day trading world's been kind of like this. And he'd be like, yeah, swing trading that, but nothing. So I'm like, okay, so it's both sides, so I can kind of get a feel. So, it doesn't have to necessarily be your strategy. It could be a swing trader who only longs. That could be really good for you, because you're a scalper who buys breakouts. And what do most swing traders look for? Something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it could be that. It doesn't have to necessarily be a scalper.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, no, that definitely helps. Yeah, I definitely, if I do talk to someone, it definitely just be like bouncing ideas for sure. Just because I've definitely figured out that I'm a very, very emotional trader. So
Yeah.
just knowing like P&Ls and just knowing how much or whatever, like, yeah, it would just ruin my day probably, or
Same
just
way.
ruin my mental, really. Yeah.
Same
Um,
way.
I think the two big problems I have, even like just my year and a half in general, is just one FOMO, and another one is just comparing myself to others. I hate that I do it a lot, but I just can't help it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just gives me like a lot of negative thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my biggest weakness. I've talked about that tons of times.
Hmm.
It's probably why I started off just really hating chat rooms, because it would impact me
Yeah.
tremendously. And so all I can say is do whatever you can to protect yourself from that. But at the same time, just it's easy. Just surround yourself around people who think similar.
Yeah.
That's it. And block everyone else like on social media who just flex all day, because that's not even helpful anyway. So like,
I'm in the process of that. Yeah.
that's super helpful, man. It's
Yeah.
massive. Because then you might have a good day today, right? Let's say the day market was open today. It's President's Day, so it's closed. But
Yeah.
if it was open, you trade today, you have a killer trade, and you're like, man, I killed it. I'm so happy. I stuck to my process. It was a good risk reward. I entered at the best spot. I sold where I wanted to. And then you log on, and some homeboy or homegirl just nailed the same trade, but same exact trade, same exact executions, but like 10 times the size. And it could get into you. So like, just avoid all that. Like, don't even worry about that, because the more you can get away from that and focus on you, the faster you'll get consistent. I'm telling you, 100%. Like, that was huge for me.
Yeah. In the beginning, my first pretty much year, I was like in and out of a few discords.
Yep.
And yeah, I just knew like, sure, sometimes it helped me, but there were days where it wouldn't. And I just feel like it wasn't helping me in the process. So I pretty much just minimized that to like one Discord with just pretty much people sharing ideas and stuff.
Yep.
So that was good.
100%. I agree with that.
One thing I wanted to ask is so at least in my trading journey, the one I think consistent thing that I'm proud of is my risk management. I think that um I'm very prideful of that because I feel like I haven't blown any accounts, and when I'm wrong, I know I'm wrong and I'm okay with it. But because the this changing market, this past month or two, I feel like, well, no, really, what I see my account, and every week it's been red on red on red on red.
Yep.
And I've never been what's it called? I've always been fine with being wrong, but I've never been this much wrong before. And I feel like it's definitely ruining my confidence. So when I'm wrong, when you're pretty much wrong this amount of times, like how do you deal with that? Because how I've dealt with it is I've literally just played smaller, but even then, like I'm still wrong and it's still fucking me up mentally.
Yeah.
And this past week, I actually don't think I traded. If I did, maybe once or twice, because I
Okay.
feel like I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
So first off, everyone goes through this,
Yeah.
and even veteran traders, if they have like a rocky couple of days, they even sometimes will think, man, like they don't believe it, but they do think it. They're like, fuck, do I know what I'm doing? Like that's
Yeah.
normal, because at the end of the day, we're trading like patterns and setups. Like anything can happen. Like everything's totally random. So just know it's okay to feel that way. But the second thing is, you're not going to like the answer for one of them. But so two answers. Number one, the second answer is the one I'm going to lean on. But the first one is downsize a little bit, downsize a little bit while you trade. I got three answers. Sorry. Two of them I might not like, but the first one is the easy one to me. And that's just downsize a little bit, right? Or don't trade, like that's hard for a lot of people. So like, or don't trade. But the next two I would say is just paper trade for that week. Completely paper trade. Fully. But treat it like it's your real account. Same size, everything. So that way, because you're still growing, you're still learning, you're going to be able to still get the practice in and still be able to continue the motions, still look for good setups, still pull the trigger without the fear, right? And so that way you can keep building that confidence. That's super important. And then on top of that, I don't know if you do this now, but I wouldn't upload my trades until the end of the month. I would not upload until the end of the month, because you're so new that every day, a week of red trades, a month of red trades, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter, because over time, as you get better, like your size will grow. It could take 10 years, but I'll tell you this, in 10 years, you'd be like, I can't believe I was stressing about that. Like, it doesn't matter how long it takes you. So don't focus on that. Just know your goal here is not to make money fast, not to be rich. Obviously, we all trade because we want to make money. I get that. But when you're doing the day-to-day, your goal is only one thing, and that's to be here forever.
Yeah.
And so focus on surviving. And if that means I'm trading weird because I'm emotional right now, and so I'm not taking any trades at all, I'd rather you take paper trades that whole week. So that way you get the practice. Because otherwise, to see something and just watch and see like, okay, I would have got in there instead of pulling the trigger is a totally different practice. And so like going through that process of practice is super important. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've never paper traded, so if I did do that, it would be very new to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, even in the beginning, how I started is I literally sized super, super small, and that's how I went up. But yeah, I might actually do paper trading. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to do. Like I convinced one of my buddies to do it. He's a young trader just like you. He's been training for about a year now. Freaking, he's where he's at in a year, I was at in about 3 years. I'm like, holy crap. But I told him, I was like, because he's going through struggling past couple of months. And he just came out of a high, kind of like he was like on a high, and then he's been going down. And he's like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, dude, you've only been trading for a year. I was like, it's gonna happen. Like the market's changing. Like it's not just gonna be the same thing. So I said, look, just paper trade. It took him forever. Like he said, okay, I'll do it. He did it for like a day. And he's like, well, when I paper trade, I did amazing. So then he went back to real, then started losing again. And I'm like, it's not about, you want to make it a habit. Like when people say paper trade, they just think, why am I doing this? It's a waste of time. It's boring. It's not fun, blah, blah, blah. But like, you need to treat it like it's your real account and understand you're building the habit of trading through a process, and you're hitting it with the exact same size as you would with your real account.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that way, when you convert, you've seen after a month, like if you just did it for a month straight, I know it sucks, but like if you just paper trade for a month straight and documented it and still treated it for real, I promise you, if it's a strategy that works, it's a good strategy, you're going to gain so much confidence because there's going to be a point where you're just like, the fuck am I doing? Like, I know this works. I need to go to my real account. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, that's what's going to happen. You're going to build a lot of confidence because you've seen it. You're going to see days where you're wrong on every single one, or you're wrong on like 3 and right on 1. And they're going to see 3 days where you're right on every single thing. You know, you're going to go through that without that emotional baggage of beating yourself up while you're going through it, because now you have that emotional uncertainty and the emotional of like expectations and the charts, you know, like, so it's just like hard. But if you can eliminate those two and just see that's consistent and show that it is, because you're treating it real, you're not just like, oh, like I'll get back in now because I'll get more shares. You know how you fake it, you treat it real, then I'm telling you, you'll build so much confidence on that strategy. And then when you convert, you still want to, you know, be careful because his emotions will come back, but you want to be able to, you'll have more belief, like, okay, like I went through this where a week of nothing worked, but I kept it up and overall I'm okay. Like you got to build that, and you can build that without risking money by paper trade. So
yeah,
especially during a rough time.
That sounds good. Another thing you mentioned is the journaling part, how I would do it by the end of the month. I actually tried starting of this year, I actually tried doing it by the end of the week, because whenever I did it the day after, it would just still fuck me up. So I did it the week of, and yeah, that didn't work, because after that week, it just messed me up because that 1 week I did it, I was green, but because I remember journaling and I remembered I was green, I had like higher confidence, and yeah, it reversed.
So when you say journaling, do you mean you're uploading your trades once a week right now, or do you mean you only journal your trades at the end of the week?
I record all my trades and write notes on it too. Yeah.
Okay. Are you not writing down in your journal during the day when you're trading?
I am not. No. I used to, but that didn't work. So I'm trying a week, but that also didn't work. So that's why I heard you say a month.
So what I would say is, so don't confuse. Let me be clear. So uploading your trades, like to see how you did and stuff like that, is one thing. Journaling your trades is another. So like journaling every day you should be doing. And what I mean by journaling is not writing like I made X or it was a win loss. Like don't worry about that. What was your plan? Was it your setup? You should have like a checkbox in your journal. Like, was it my setup? Yes. You know, how do I feel emotionally? You should write that down for the day. I felt XYZ. I felt like this. I felt stressful. I felt anxiety. Like I'm gonna write tomorrow on mine, anxious because we didn't trade today. You know what I'm saying? So like acknowledge how you're feeling. And then before you place that trade, you know what you're looking for, because you do your pre-market scan, you're writing your plans, write that plan down. Type it in, whatever you want to do. Type in where your profit target is, everything. And then when you're done with the trade and when you're in the trade, maybe not for you because you're a scalper, so it's much quicker. For me, it's a little different, but like if you can, while you're in the trade, type in how you're feeling. Like, okay, it's 10 minutes in, or, you know, it doesn't relate because you're a scalper, but it could, maybe you're a minute and 2 minutes in. And I feel like it's not going to work, but it hasn't hit my price target. You know, start documenting that. Because when you do that and then you get out of the trade and the day's over and you go look at your journal and you look at the setup with a clear head without being out of the trade, and you wrote down how you felt while in the trade, you're going to be like, whoa, like I'm two different people.
Oh, okay.
And you'll learn some things about how you treat things when you're in a trade.
Yeah.
And this whole game is all about you, man. Like it's all about you. Because everything you brought to the table so far is you. Everything. Yeah, like we haven't talked about setup yet. You know what I'm saying? But like everything we're talking about is up here. And it's so true, man. Like, I mean, that's what I deal with every day. Like my biggest challenge for me personally to grow to the next level for myself is only me. And that's one thing I'm working on every day. So like when I told you, like I literally talked to my friend today before we got on, and I was like, man, I'm anxious. Like, so I got to acknowledge this and understand that Tuesday is my Monday. So I'm going to treat it with smaller size at first until I get comfortable again because I'm anxious. Because when you're anxious, what happens? Like for me, I might pull the trigger before it even sets up. You know what I'm saying?
Same.
So writing that down puts it in front of you to where you're like, okay, like, and then if you ignore it, that's fine because you're new. And then you see at the end of the day what happened. You go review your journal. And you're like, well, I was anxious this day. And then maybe you're like, well, why was I anxious? Because you need to type details. Maybe the next time you write down I'm anxious, then you ask yourself why, and you put details. And your journal gets more in depth, and you start to learn about what affects you as a trader.
Okay. So upload trades end of the month, but journal.
Yeah,
every day.
journal.
Got it. Yeah,
journal.
I would do both by the end of the week.
Yeah, it'll be
that
hard
makes
to
more
journal.
sense.
Yeah, it'll be hard to journal at the end of the week because you can't really remember shit.
Yeah, I would just be pretty general.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah. And what's it called? Yeah, with like setups and charting, like I love to do that. And I know you mentioned that we haven't talked about that, but yeah, I really love to do that. And I'm pretty confident in those areas. It's just everyone always says like, you know, you learn a lot about yourself when you're trading. And man, am I an emotional trader, dude? Like I hate it.
it's good though.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
And so like now that's what you got to focus on. Like, and here's the thing with emotions. You can't stop them. You know, they're not going to go away. They're always going to be there. And you always hear these rules. Like you hear some, I don't know, like some people will say, I never trade pre-market. I never trade after hours. I never trade midday, or I only trade in the first 30 minutes, or all these different rules, right? But they're all different. Like some contradict each other. One trader says I only trade pre-market. The other trader says I never trade pre-market. It's so unpredictable. All these rules that we make is to protect us from us. That's all it is. So like for me, I used to have a rule. I never trade pre-market. I trade pre-market now. I don't care because I've gotten better at it. But like before, I never would trade it because I would lose every single time. So it became a rule of mine. You know what I'm saying? So like, you got to make rules that fit you. So like, you know, ask yourself what causes you to go down. Like if you start to lose and maybe there's certain things you do, create rules around that to protect you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the hard part for me is following these rules because whenever before market opens, I always have like a certain mindset, but that completely disappears 30 minutes in because sometimes I'm just like way too emotional that I definitely just need more discipline, really.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't think it's discipline. I think it's more of like you just get lost in your emotions. Like they take over, right? And it happened to me, by the way. It happens to everyone. It happened to me. Like I haven't hit my max loss in I think 5 or 6 months. And I hit it last week. And you know why I hit it? Not because my setups didn't work. Not because it was nothing to do with the market. It had everything to do with me. I got lost in my emotions that day. So it still happens, but it doesn't happen as often. Like it used to happen once a week. And then it was every 2 weeks. Now it's like 6 months. So like it gets better. But like one thing I would highly suggest is, I talk about this all the time, but like I mean it, like meditation is huge, man. Because it teaches you that your emotions are always going to be there. You're going to feel the way you feel. As long as, you know, you got to acknowledge it, write it down. So that way you can know how you're feeling and know that your decisions are coming from that feeling. So it kind of gives you cautious while you're trading. You're like, I want to get in this, but I know I'm feeling anxious. So wait a minute, is this really a setup yet? You know what I'm saying? It gives you that pause. So, you know, I don't focus on trying to get rid of it. Just focus on understanding it and why has it come up and what can you do to work with it rather than work against it. Because if you try to push against it, it's just going to win. It's going to win every time.
Yeah, I know you've talked about like meditation in your other videos. What was that tool you use again?
Did I just say it?
What was it? The tool
I don't.
you use?
What tool? What do you mean?
The tool you use like to meditate? I know there's something you subscribe to.
So I do subscribe to Headspace.
Headspace, got it.
I have it. I don't even use it in the past like month.
Oh, okay.
I used it for like 2 years straight, pretty much. I still subscribe to it. I don't use it as often because I just turn on the chime, the ding, and it's like music.
Mm.
And I've meditated for so long now that I just close my eyes and meditate without someone telling me what to do. You know what I'm saying? But the headspace is awesome because it walks you through like how to think, what's okay, what's not, like it helps you become a meditator, really.
I've honestly been like, because I know you've talked about it, but I've always been like iffy, like, do I even need it? Yeah, but honestly, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, you need it,
Yeah,
brother. You
yeah,
need it,
yeah,
brother. I'm telling you.
yeah. I promise after this call, I'm gonna just
Yeah.
subscribe, dude.
Everyone needs it, dude. I'm telling you, dude.
Yeah.
Like it helps me in everything, in everyday decisions. And I mean, because like I'll get emotional about something. I'm like, well, I'm mad right now. Like, should I even say the answer what I want to say right now? No, I'm gonna wait. Like it helps you acknowledge those things through life, which is so important. I mean, in trading. So,
You mentioned that you hit your max loss last week.
yep.
What did you do after?
So, and I called my buddy, and I was like, he answered. He goes, "Hey man, how was your day?" He was having a killer day. He
Uh-huh.
was like, "Hey, how's your day?" And I was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I hit my max loss, is what it is. And I'm not happy with my performance at all. I know that it wasn't anything to do with my setups, it was me. And so tomorrow will be a better day. That's how I handle it now. I can tell you that I used to not be that calm. And the next day I was able to just same size, everything just continue. And I had a break even day. Then the next day was a good day. And so like just keep going. So like now it's not as impactful. It sucks. Don't get me wrong. I did not like it. I was not happy. I was not happy with how I performed. Sure. But I used to beat myself up. And I used to get so mad at myself that I would like try to make it back to the next day. And I would try to like push things. I would do the opposite of what I do now. Like I would try to push things. I wouldn't size that more, but I would just like, ooh, like I'm gonna try to do this one. Because I'm trying to make it back. Or I get so mad that I wouldn't trade anything because I was so scared. And so I downsized so small and wouldn't pull the trigger. And then I'd just go for like a 2 weeks of just like timidness and miss all these great setups, then get more mad
Yeah.
and then become revengeful and then hit another max loss. So like I used to go through that. And I was just talking to my buddy this weekend and I was like, dude, isn't it crazy that I used to do that? And now like, thanks be to God, it's just, I'm able to move forward and just keep going. And I think it happens over time because like I said, survive. If you survive long enough, you'll start to know like this shit doesn't hurt me. Like I can keep going and I'm consistent. So sometimes you're going to have flukes. And when it happens, it happens. Like, and at your level, just know like your goal is survivability. That's it. So like it's taken me 3.5, 3 years just to get consistent. Doesn't mean I'm killing it in those 3 years at all. It just means I'm profitable. You know what I'm saying? That's all it means. And then as I continue to become profitable, be more consistent, continue to grow, I get better and better, right? Because once you get consistent, the next battle is the sizing up to numbers where you're comfortable with losing. So that becomes the next challenge. So all I'm saying is like now it doesn't really, it's hard to say like it does bother me. Like it makes me upset, sure. But I don't dwell on it anymore. And I just move forward. And I acknowledge what the problem was. It was me. That's it. But back in the day, I promise you, man, I used to beat myself up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at a point it would ruin my whole day. Now I think it just lingers kind of. So I think I'm handling it a little bit better, but I still need work for sure.
If you're thinking, man, at any point, not even the day after your max loss, right? At any point in your trading, if you're ever thinking, I'm doing good, but I'm down XYZ since the day I started. If you're ever thinking that, bro, dude, you're just what you're doing is you're trying to walk up a mountain and you decided to carry a big ass boulder up that mountain. That's what you decided to do. Because I talk to traders all the time who are like, man, I blew up 3 accounts. I don't give a shit what you blew up. It doesn't matter because that's over. It's gone. Like today's a brand new day. Don't worry about that. Focus on the money you have left and become good with that. Because if you have a good month, right? And you let that other person come up here and say, well, you blew up another account a while back, so you're still probably down. That's going to bring you down mentally.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try to push harder because you had a good month. And then you're going to go down again. So, like, don't worry about yesterday. Don't worry about max losses. All of that is there to keep you here. That's why you have a max loss rule. All of those things, the reason you're still trading is because you have good risk management, because you are managing your money properly. So just keep going and just continue to focus on risk management, continue to push forward. Don't worry about what happened in the past. Just continue to grow. Now, I'm not saying don't learn from your lessons, but you get it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, One question I just remembered from earlier, with like adapting markets, um, how do you find, I guess, new setups? Is it like just through paper trading and you just try to trade like everything, or how would you find that?
So I'm gonna tell you what you don't do because I made this mistake first. Okay, so like at first I just started trading everything with my good setup with the exact same size. So therefore I just became a frustrated trader and just broke even or lost money because it just sucked, right? I didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't give the respect that every setup deserves. You got to give it time. Just because you're good at one setup doesn't mean you're going to be great at everything. So don't do that. What really helped me dramatically is I only traded my real account for the only my good setup, period. And then I trade paper on everything else because I wanted to explore. But why explore with my money? Why don't I explore with something different while I make money in my account that I know I'm good at? You know what I'm saying? I'm hard headed. Like I should have did that at the very beginning. I didn't. And so when I did that switch and just said, no, I'm tired of all this randomness, all these mediocre trades destroying my equity curve because I'm exploring with my good setups. I immediately, two things happened. Like I immediately started to pull the trigger on every single thing on that paper account because I want to get better. I want to explore. But at the same time, I wouldn't always pull the trigger when my setup came up with the full size without that fear of like, I just lost three mediocre setups on a row. So now I don't want to lose on my setup. You know what I'm saying? It helped me dramatically. So just know like that's how I approach it now. And now I've added, you know, I short everything now. Like I have so many short strategies. But before I just had one. You know what I'm saying? So like it takes time, but then you'll get comfortable with them. You got to track them. You still got to track them. You don't just trade.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you'll know I'm good at this one. Let me add that. And when you add it to your real account, even though you're comfortable with the size you're trading now, do not trade that new setup in your new account with the exact same size. Don't do it. Just start off small. And then if you get comfortable, you can move up quicker, but just start off small. Just always do that.
And hmm. And like I guess with how you're trading like nowadays with like this I guess new market, um what's it called? Are you more longing stuff or shorting stuff?
I would say I'm both,
Both still? Okay.
but this last week,
Yeah.
mostly short. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
fluctuates. You know,
I feel yeah,
there's
the only
some,
reason I
yeah.
ask is because like I feel like I've always been better at longing stuff, but um do see a couple setups where I'm like shorting, and I see other people doing well shorting, but I know I'm terrible at it. So that's just yeah.
You know, shorting, I think it's just, just know like if like now I trade everything, like I
Hmm.
long and I short. So, you know, I can tell you that like this past week, there were some killer shorts. But then I think 2 weeks ago, there were some dope ass longs. You know, so like it fluctuates. And so like, but before when I first started, dude, there was a month where I had 5 trades the entire month because all I traded was one setup and it was a short setup and it was just one certain setup. And that's going to be part of a new trader's beginnings where there's nothing to trade really because there's not your setup. You know what I'm saying? But as you grow and as you learn more, there'll be less and less of those days. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So just explore with on those days when you're like, God, dang it, there's no breakouts, then open that paper account and either try different long setups or just short and see what
Yeah.
vibes well with you. And here's what I would suggest. When you first do that, just short everything on that paper account. Okay. And anything that looks like a short to you, just do it. And you don't need to track so much at first. And here's what I mean. Because what's going to happen, you do that for about a week, like, oh, just keep doing it. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start to be like, you'll start to kind of notice what you like and then start tracking those. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll be like, and then you'll know if you're good at it or not. But you'll just notice that you always gravitate towards that type of a play that looks like a short. Then you start tracking that because you got to get a feel of what you like too by just trying everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And with like paper accounts and trying new setups, when do you think it's ready to put it in a real account? Like after like a month of making it work, or
so this is the hardest question to answer.
got it.
I'm gonna tell you how I determine for myself, but you might not like the answer. It's okay. So back in the day, I used to create timelines of like, and this is wrong for me. For me, it's wrong. Maybe for someone else, it's great. But I used to be like, okay, after I'm doing great for this setup for a month, I'll size up on it. And after another month, I'll size up. That never worked for me. For me, what works, it's very it's just kind of like objective, where I'm just like, I'm going to keep trading this short strategy until there's a moment where I feel, what am I doing? Like this should be now in my real account. Like it just doesn't, like you'll feel it. Like you'll feel I know it's hard to explain, but I feel an overwhelming, like, what am I doing? Like, this is no longer an explore trade. I know this trade. Boom. And then when that happens, then I move it over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I don't put a timeline on anymore. I used to.
I don't think I should too.
And that would mess me up because I'd be like, well, it's been a week or a month and I've been doing good. I move it over and I'm so nervous. I do shitty. Like I need to wait until my body and my mind and says it's time. Like it's time for me to move this over, because it's the confidence. You need confidence. And if you don't have that confidence and you just move because you've been doing for a month because you told yourself, like I did, for me, it was a recipe for disaster. I would be stuck because I just keep on being in that cycle because I lose confidence, the little bit that I kind of built, and then have to start over and then build it and then lose it again until I just say, you know what? No rush. Like I'm just going to keep trading until I get that overwhelming sensation that I do with my normal setup that I love. When I see my setup now, I'm like, whoo, I'm like, awesome. When I get that feeling again for the paper account, then I'll move it. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Yeah.
So it takes time. Like you can't be in a rush.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I should put a timeline either, for sure.
Yeah, I think timelines can really mess up people.
Yeah. Do you recommend I guess any books that help like just the psychological part of trading?
Yeah, man. Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas.
Okay.
The best. Also,
what is it? I'm reading Daily Trading Coach right now.
That's a good book. That's more of a what am I dealing with right now? Go to that chapter.
Oh, okay.
Then I read all the way through that book. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have found Trading in the Zone by Mark Douglas to be the best book for me in terms of putting in perspective how you should really think as a trader and how random trading really is. Like, and how that's a really good book. And if you go to YouTube, he's no longer with us. He passed away. Rest in peace. He's a great teacher. He was back in the day when there was like old film cameras and like it was just shitty quality recording. So like you can Google his name, Mark Douglas, on YouTube. I'm sorry, not Google, YouTube, and say like Mark Douglas conference or something like that, or Mark Douglas teaches trading. And some people were able to get some of his old recordings and put it on YouTube. And sometimes it gets banned, but like sometimes it's up there for a long time. It's shitty quality in terms of recording, but amazing information. So if you can watch it, they're about an hour long each. He has like 5 of them out there.
Oh, okay.
They're good. They're really good.
I'm like a super slow reader, but I do love watching stuff.
Then
That's
you'll like
exactly
it.
why I binged your videos.
Thanks.
So yeah, I'll definitely try to do that.
Yeah, man, you'll love it. I watch those when I watch those. They're amazing.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Okay. And I guess yeah, you answered all my questions. I guess the one just question I guess I have left is I know you always like ask these to traders and successful traders in your videos, but what would you like tell yourself in like your 1 year of trading, in like your first year, I mean? That way where you could, get faster to where you are right now.
Man, I don't know. I would say let me think for a second.
Yeah, you're good. I've always wanted to ask you this because you always ask everyone this.
If I could go back, man, I would tell myself that first off, Alex, why are you using that type of income? Like, why are you using that size? Because it was dumb. Secondly, I'd be like, look, man, don't rush it anymore. Like, stop rushing it because it'll take you forever. The moment, you start to realize all you got to worry about is just, focus on yourself and process, you'll get better. Like, just take your time. And just for now, Alex, like pick one setup, Alex. Just pick one. Just pick one, dude. Trade everything else on paper, but just pick one and focus on that really to make that your setup. And don't be afraid to throw it away. If you don't like it, if it doesn't vibe with you, just find another one because there's so many out there. And just know it's not about how you trade. I mean, it's not about the setup itself. It's about how you trade the setup. That's what's different. And I mean, there's a lot I would say, but that's for sure. I would have to say that.
Oh yeah, that really helps. Great.
I've never been asked that, so.
Yeah, I think that is all I had to ask you. This was great, dude. I really was looking forward to talking to you, and this was really great.
Cool, man. Hey, man, look, I appreciate it too. I appreciate the trust. I really do. What'd you think of the last episode? You said you just saw that one?
Yeah. No, it was really good. And it was shorter than usual. I always like the long episodes actually, but yeah, no, it was great. It was great.
The golf one, right?
Yeah, the golf one, and then yeah, the SMB Capital actually made me feel better because he was talking about how his really good traders were struggling, and I was like, oh, okay, yay, because I'm really struggling.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like, social media makes you think everyone's doing amazing when it's just bull. Like, I have the privilege, thankfully, and I have some friends who are big traders, like some big traders and who've been on the show. And to the audience, they might think they're amazing. They never stump their foot on a rock. But because I'm privy to those conversations behind the door, like I know, like some of them hit their toes on rocks, not every day, but they hit it, But I also know that how they handle it is you never know they hit it. They'd be like they'd be pissed. Like, fuck, like I traded like a jackass, or I didn't even know what I was doing. And then the next day, they're just going, and they're focused, and they're not thinking like I need to make that. And that's one thing I've learned from watching them is like, man, I used to, because at the time I was beating myself up, but they just like get mad for a little bit, explain why they made the mistake, what happened, and then next day, and then after that, just move forward. Whereas with newbies, like we're going to be like beating ourselves up, So like I learned that from them, and that's helped me out tremendously because I'm like, every time you beat yourself up and you drag it, then you drag the time it takes for you to actually accept and learn the lesson and grow, because you're just holding it forever. And as you hold it, you continue to add more to it, because you look for things that are going to say, I told you, Alex, like you're not going to do well. Let's add that to the box, and then you just carry this big ass box or boulder up your mountain. And you don't
Yeah,
want to do
my
that.
friend always tells me that I wear my emotions over my shoulder, so you'll know if I'm having a bad day.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way, dude. I'm the same way, 100%. But yeah, man, look, all I always say is, look, just you're only a year and a half in. Cool. Like, that's amazing that you're like, but just understand, like, this takes time. Don't don't beat yourself up, because it'll take longer if you do. It'll take a much longer. Forgive yourself. Like, understand to really forgive yourself instead of holding something against yourself. And be a good boss to yourself, because like, you're your boss when it comes to trading. And in the real world, when I used to work somewhere and someone would hold me accountable, like, it's different than when you're by yourself. And when you're at the real world, the bosses you don't like, right? That if they talk down to you, you're like, I'm not going to deal with that shit, But I'm not saying you do, but I'm saying me, like, but you would talk, Alex, you would talk to yourself at the beginning too, like the first 2 years, dude. I would have, all I know is, like, if anyone heard the way I used to talk to myself, like, it'd be nuts. Like, you just, so, like, don't treat yourself that way. You know what I'm saying? Treat yourself with baby gloves. How you would treat a brand new kid who's learning how to walk. You wouldn't make fun of them every day for not being stumbling and falling. You'd help them. And you'd be like, okay, what do we need to do? Okay, now we're going to learn how to run. Like, if you treat yourself that way, then I think you'll grow a lot faster.
Yeah. Okay. Got a long way.
Nah, that's all good, man. Well, look, man, I appreciate it, for real. I really, really do appreciate the trust. And make sure to DM me on Twitter or Instagram, because I like to, like, kind of put a face with the name on social.
Okay.
And good luck, man. Do you have any other questions? Any other questions?
No, you covered it all. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, brother. No worries.